Have you ever noticed that when you start doing something good for yourself, something that's supposed to be positive, suddenly everything starts to irritate you? You start eating clean and junk food doesn't hit the same anymore. You start listening to music that fits your spirit and the stuff you used to bomb feels off. You start protecting your peace and toxic conversations becomes unbearable. And it's not just annoying, it becomes uncomfortable because now the things that used to fit doesn't fit anymore. The environment that used to feel normal feels foreign. The people you used to vibe with, you cannot vibe with them the same way. And here's what most people don't realize. That discomfort, that friction, it's not a problem. It's a proof that something in you has changed. So guys, welcome back to Coleman Studio Podcast. I'm Coleman and today we're going to be talking about overlooked part of growth that nobody wants you about. When you change one habit, one decision, one commitment, everything around you starts to shift. And not always in a way that feels good at first, because transformation doesn't just upgrade your life, it exposes you to what no longer belongs in it. And if you don't understand what's happening, you will think something is wrong with you, but nothing is wrong. You're just becoming someone new, and the old version of your life, it doesn't fit that person anymore. So today we're going to be breaking down why change creates friction, why it reveals, and how to navigate it without going backwards. So now let's get into it. A while back, I made a shift in what I was putting on in my ears. I started being more intentional about the music I listened to, the podcast I consumed, the conversation I entertained. And at first it felt good, like I was feeding my mind and spirit with something that actually built me up instead of just filling the silence. But then something weird started happening. I'd be around people I used to hang out with and the music they play started to kind of irritate me a bit. Not just because it was bad music, but because something in me had shifted. The lyrics I used to ignore, now I heard them clearly. The energy I used to vibe with, now I felt it heavily. Now I remember thinking, man, am I just judgmental? Am I overthinking this? But it wasn't judgment, it was alignment. My internal frequency had changed, and now things that used to resonate doesn't anymore. That was when I realized when you change, everything around you gets tested. Not because you are better than anyone else, but because you're different than who you were. And difference demands discernment. Here's the part nobody tells you about. Change isn't just about adding good things to your life. It's about becoming incapable. It's about becoming incompatible with the things that don't serve the person you're becoming. And that incompatibility, it shows up as irritation, frustrations, recklessness. You start eating healthy and suddenly the drive-through feels like a trap. You start protecting your time and suddenly saying yes to everything feels exhausting. You start surrounding yourself with people who challenge you and suddenly surface level friendships feels draining. Because most people miss this. They think the goal of growth is to feel good all the time, but real growth makes you uncomfortable with comfort. It makes you sensitive to things you used to tolerate. It makes you aware of misalignments you used to ignore. And here's why it matters, because if you don't understand what's happening, you either, number one, think something is wrong with you and go back to the old habits, or two, become self-righteous and start judging everyone who hasn't changed the way you have. Both are traps, and the truth is simpler. You changed, and now your environment is revealing what matches that change and what doesn't. So let me say it differently. When you elevate, you become allergic to what used to be normal. It's not that you're so good for it, it's you're different now, and different requires different inputs, different habits, different influences, different environments. Now, the uncomfortable part, that means some things in your life have to go, not because they are evil, but because they are not aligned with where you're headed. And if you keep trying to drag them with you, you either compromise your growth and exhaust yourself trying to make them fit. Let me get practical. Think about the last habit you changed. Maybe you started working out, reading more, praying consistently, journaling, cutting out some certain content, whatever it was. Now ask yourself, what started bothering you after the change? Be honest. Was it certain people, certain places, certain conversations? Did the stuff you used to watch feel empty? Did the music you used to listen to feel off? Did the late nights feel pointless? If so, that's not random. That's your internal compass. Here is what this looks like in real life. You start listening to worship songs, maybe motivational content consistently. Suddenly, the playlist you used to run on repeat doesn't feed you anymore. The energy doesn't match who you're becoming. You're eating clean and fueling your body intentionally. Suddenly, junk food just tastes bad. It feels like self-sabotage. Your body rejects what it used to crave. You start guarding your peace and setting boundaries. Suddenly, toxic conversations feel suffocating. Drama feels like a waste of time, and people who only call when they need something you notice it now. You start spending time with people who are growing. Suddenly, surface level friendships feels draining, gossips feels pointless, and being around people with no visions feels like quicksand. This is what alignment looks like. It's not about being better than anyone. It's about being true to the version of yourself you are building. And when you change that inside, your tolerance for misalignment on the outside shrinks. Most people find this. They try to keep one foot at the old life and one foot at the new life, but you can't strand growth. You either move forward or you get pulled back. If you're still here, it matters, because the irritation you're feeling is not a sign for you to go back. It's a sign for you to grow something, and outgrowing something is painful, but it's also necessary. So let me ask you this: what's irritating you right now that didn't used to? And before you dismiss it, sit with it, because that irritation might be your internal GPS telling you it doesn't match who you are becoming. Maybe it's the content you consume, maybe it's the people you're spending time with, maybe it's the habits you're still holding on to, even though you know they don't serve you. Here's the reality: you can't grow and stay the same. You can't level up and keep everything from the old level. Something has to shift, and most of the time, the shift starts with discomfort, not because something is wrong, but because something is right. You're becoming someone new, and the old version of your life, it doesn't fit that person anymore. So stop trying to force it. Stop trying to make the old environment comfortable again. Stop trying to convince yourself that the friction you are feeling is just being difficult. It's not. It's growth, and growth demands you let go of what no longer aligns. Not out of arrogance, but out of integrity, because if you're serious about becoming the man you're called to be, you have to be willing to release what doesn't support that vision, even if it's what you're used to, especially if you're used to it. So look, I get it. Change is uncomfortable. Things you used to love is hard, but you know what's harder? Staying in alignment with your vision of yourself that no longer exists. So if you're feeling that friction, that irritation, don't fight it, honor it, because it's not a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that something in you has changed, and that change is leading somewhere better. So as you move through this week, pay attention. What's no longer sitting right with you? What feels off that didn't used to? Don't ignore it. That's your signal. This is Coleman Studio Podcast. Thanks for being here, and I hope to see you on the next one.